iron fist, Impeach. They used to call him a hero, Admiral Joseph Impeach. Medals on his chest, steel in his eyes, commander of men in a world where every decision meant life or death. The Navy gave him the name Iron Fist because when he came down on something, it stayed down. He fought terrorists overseas, stood on carriers with the flag snapping over his head, speeches about freedom and sacrifice. Flashback, 1991, desert sands. Impeach standing over a table lit by a lantern, maps sprawled, a younger Aaron Schulte at his side, scribbling numbers, projections, supply chains. The brain back then was just a pencil pusher, but even then his mind ran like a machine. Sir, if we move the resources this way, we could cut waste in half. Impeach looked at him, saw more than a lieutenant, saw a future partner. Another flashback, 2003, Black Ops in some jungle no map ever claimed. A soldier steps out of the muck, face caked in mud, silent as death. The men whispered about him, called him the Frog. Impeach watched the man drop 3 targets without a sound, melt back into the shadows like he was born there. That night, over a fire, Impeach said, "You ever get tired of taking orders, stick with me. We'll make real money." The Frog just nodded. That's when the shift began. Somewhere between the medals and the missions, Impeach stopped fighting wars and started selling them. He saw the value wasn't in victory, it was in blueprints, designs, secrets. He could sell tomorrow's weapons to the highest bidder, and who paid better than the mob? In Brooklyn, loyalty's currency, but money buys silence. Present day, Impeach in a back room, suit sharp, cigar smoke curling up to the ceiling. Across from him sits Nick Palermo, listening close as Iron Fist slides a folder across the table. Inside, schematics, military grade, enough firepower to turn the streets into a battlefield. Behind Impeach, the brain adjusts his glasses, numbers already running. The Frog stands quiet in the corner, eyes cold, a shadow with breath. Admiral Impeach ain't the Navy hero no more. He's a freedom fighter on paper, a weapons broker in truth. The Bureau thinks he's untouchable, the streets think he's a blessing. But Brooklyn knows, a man like that don't bring peace, he brings war. Brooklyn Bloodlines, Season 2, coming soon.
Mark, what the fuck you doing in there, you prick?
Bambi's Twisted Tales, Julius Caesar. Caesar the dawn. The city hummed. Rome was alive like Brooklyn on a Friday night when everybody's got something to do and nowhere safe to do it. Lanterns burned in the taverns, dice clattered in alleyways, women haggled in the markets. But under all the noise there was a pulse, a rhythm. And that rhythm had a name, Julius Caesar. He walked through the forum like he owned it, a fine cloak draped over his shoulders, rings catching the torchlight. Men tipped their heads, women whispered behind hands. Caesar didn't need guards, his presence was the guard. Marc Antony, his right hand lumbered beside him, big frame filling the street. Antony smirked at the way folks parted like the tide. "Boss," he said, voice thick with wine from the night before. "You see how they look at you, half reverence, half fear." Caesar chuckled. "Both are useful, Antony. Reverence keeps them close. Fear keeps them quiet." Antony laughed, clapping him on the shoulder. "You always got a line, boss." Behind them, men whispered, "He feeds the poor. He gives jobs. He's the one who conquered Gaul." Caesar heard it all, pretended he didn't. And in the shadows, Cassius watched. Chapter 2. Envy in the Alley. Cassius was lean, his face carved sharp, eyes narrow. He leaned against a column as Brutus approached, the torchlight flickering across his uneasy features. "You asked for me," Brutus said. His voice carried the weight of a man loyal but restless. Cassius smiled thin, a snake without the head, eyes narrow. He leaned against a column as Brutus approached, the torchlight flickering across his uneasy features. "You asked for me," Brutus said. His voice carried the weight of a man loyal but restless. Cassius smiled thin, a snake without the bite. "See what?" Brutus frowned. "See what?" Brutus asked, his voice heavy with doubt. Cassius smiled thin, a snake without the bite, eyes narrow. "He wears it already, even if it ain't on his head." Brutus shook his head. "Caesar loves Rome. He's my friend, my father in all but name." Cassius stepped closer, eyes hard. "And what are you? His lapdog. You were meant to stand equal, not bow." Brutus's jaw clenched. "He trusts me." "That's why he trusts you," Cassius said, his voice a whisper. "Only you can sell the lie of honor." Brutus turned away, but Cassius could see it, the crack in the armor. The markets buzzed louder with each day. Old women tugged at Caesar's sleeve as he passed, muttering, "Beware the Ides." Morning light filtered through the curtains. Calpurnia clutched Caesar's arm, eyes wide. "Don't go," she begged. "I dreamed of blood, of statues pouring red. Stay here, Julius. Please." Caesar kissed her forehead, dismissing her fears. "I have business to attend to." At the Capitol, senators gathered. Cassius, Brutus, Casca, the whole rotten crew. Their cloaks hung heavy, their hands twitching near hidden blades. Caesar entered, cloak sweeping, eyes sharp. "Gentlemen," he said, "let us speak of Rome." They circled. Casca struck first. Steel slid between Caesar's ribs. He gasped, staggering. Another blade tore into his side, then another. Blood splattered marble, the sound of knives ringing in the chamber. "Dogs!" Caesar snarled, fighting to stay upright. He turned, eyes wide, when he saw Brutus approach. "You?" Brutus's hand trembled, knife gleaming. For a heartbeat he hesitated. Then he drove it home. Caesar's voice cracked, soft, broken. "Et tu, brute? Even you, kid?" His body sagged, crumbling to the floor. Blood pooled under him, spreading through the cracks of the Republic itself. The conspirators thought they were saviors, thought Rome would clap for them. Instead, the city howled, mothers wept, fathers cursed, the people rioted. And Antony? Antony was fire and flesh. At Caesar's funeral, he stood before the crowd, his voice thundering. "You loved him once, and look what they done. Look how they butchered him." He read Caesar's will, showing how the dawn left money and land to the people. The crowd wept, then roared. Antony's finger pointed at Brutus and Cassius. "These are the killers. Remember their names." The mob turned savage. Stones flew, fires lit. The killers weren't heroes now. They were marked men. Civil war ripped the city. Antony rallied Caesar's soldiers, marching through fire and ash. Brutus and Cassius scraped together their own armies, claiming they fought for Rome, but Rome spat their names like curses. On a battlefield far from the city, Brutus stood, sword in hand, eyes haunted. He knew the truth. He hadn't saved Rome. He damned it. Cassius fell by his own blade, cursing the world. Brutus soon followed, choosing his own end over the mob's. The Republic they claimed to protect bled with them. Moral. So here's the tale, kid. Caesar didn't fall to enemies at the gates. He fell to friends at his table. Betrayal don't come from strangers. It comes from the hands you trust most. That's the real rule of the streets. Outsiders can't gut you like insiders can. Caesar's pride made him deaf. Brutus's envy made him blind. And Antony's rage burned it all to ash. That's Julius Caesar, twisted right through the alleys of the pizzaverse. No crowns, no poetry, just cigars, knives, betrayal, and the bloody price of envy. If you liked this, subscribe to Bambi Palermo. Step into the pizzaverse, where history and fairy tales get told the way they always should have been. Dark, gritty, and with a moral that hits like a baseball bat. And remember, we don't throw away our shot. We take it. Thanks for watching.
Frank Peccoraro's high-stakes whiskey. Bet it all. You'll still want another glass. In the neon haze of Vegas, there's only one drink worth putting on the table. Frank Peccoraro's high-stakes whiskey. Smooth as silk, strong as an uppercut, and aged in barrels that have seen more action than a backroom craps game. Features: old school blend, distilled with the same fire that built the Strip and burned down half of Jersey. Hints of smoke, leather, and just a touch of danger. Poured strong enough to make you forget the house always wins. Goku D'Angelo, one sip, and I swore loyalty twice. Mikey the Hammer. I drank it on the blackjack floor, and the dealer folded before I even played. Lopez. Technically, this bottle's evidence. Practically, best whiskey I ever confiscated. Special offer. Order now, and Frank throws in a loaded dice rocks glass. Guaranteed to roll lucky, at least once. Frank Peccoraro's high-stakes whiskey, where the odds are against you, but the drink's always in your favor.